Yeah, it is the Jeff and Mike Show. Jeff Lynch, Mike Howard with you, saying reality is needing more company. Welcome, folks. We are here every Sunday evening from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. That's Pacific time. We're out here in San Diego. Welcome. So much going on. So many things people need to wake up to. Yeah, the walls are coming down, aren't they?
They're coming down hard and fast, Jeff.
Yeah, everybody's looking for a little hope. They're looking for the next savior in politics as they look at the candidates and they peruse and they get their chance to go to their primary and choose. But are we having false hope? Are we placing our trust in the wrong people? Is there any political answer?
Do you really want me to answer that?
Well, rhetorical questions, but there are candidates out there, and some, pretty obvious. And as we've gone through this primary season, we've seen their dirty laundry aired out, and people, oh, okay, all right, that's what he's all about. And some have been dismissed, and some fight on, and some try to convince you they're the true blue, the real deal. And a lot of people who want somebody who isn't typical, who isn't an insider, have turned their eyes to a guy who in many ways goes against the grain and swims upstream and has talked against the establishment, has talked against the Federal Reserve, and even things we on this program have agreed with. He's talked against the wars, and they've found that Ron Paul maybe is the guy who could go against the system. But has he been vetted? Has he had his background really looked into? He's been scrutinized for a newsletter. We've talked about this. Everybody in talk radio has talked about this. He had a newsletter under his own name, and there have been some things written by other people in that newsletter that were considered to be maybe racist or a little, on the questionable side. And that seems to have gone away. And you say, well, if that's the most dirt they could dig up on him, well, maybe he is pretty clean. We're going to dig a little deeper tonight into Ron Paul and his background and who he actually is and what he actually believes, what he actually supports. On the line, we have a guest, Barbara Ahill, who has done the research into his background. Some things that I have suspected about Ron Paul, but have never been able to come to a decisive feeling about. But she has, and her website, watchuntoprayer.org, has this information in it. So we invited her on the program. Welcome, Barbara.
I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
Yes. So a lot of people, we are independents here on the show. I used to be a Republican, and I grew up in a Republican family, and I was true blue. As Mike knows, I was a card-carrying Republican.
Literally.
But then as I got a little disillusioned, then I thought, well, they're the better of the two parties. And then I got more disillusioned and said, hey, they're just as bad as the Democrats. Both of them are leading us down the same road. It's obvious. We have the yin and the yang, but we're never getting anywhere. And independents often looking for a candidate they could get behind, and he seems to have appealed to the disenfranchised, not only in the Republican Party, but is he part of this system, or is he really an outsider, somebody who really thinks differently? We've always said this is an elitist game. You have to be rich to run for president, and you have to be accepted by the organization, the establishment. He seems to go against it, and it seems like many Republicans don't like him and call him a nut and a kook. But is he just another level of control to give hope for those who are hoping for somebody independent? You've done some extensive research into his background and found that he is connected to some powerful groups and even secretive societal groups, right?
That's correct. If you look into Ron Paul's background, he belonged to a Masonic fraternity in college, which he still supports. Actually, this is not just a Masonic fraternity. It's a Rosicrucian fraternity. It has its origins way back in the time of the Rosicrucians and the medieval Knights Templar. And the name of it is Lambda Chi Alpha Fraternity. Ron Paul went to Gettysburg College in Pennsylvania. And where I found this information was on a video that was on YouTube, which didn't last very long there. And it was also in other places on the Internet, but in a very short time, all of these videos vanished. And I did download the video, but I haven't been able to upload it to my website because the content, I don't know what happens to these videos that get censored, but I can't, it says the content is disabled.
Right.
So if anybody knows how to upload this video, it's a terrific video. But the publication of Lambda Chi Alpha Fraternity is called The Cross and the Crescent. And the 2006 issue featured an article about the initiation ritual of the fraternity, which was formulated by a 33rd degree Master Mason and a worshipful master of a Masonic lodge. His name was John Mason. And he was the principal author of the fraternity's ritual. He designed their badge and insignia, which have occult symbols. And he founded the various publications of the order, and the publications have a lot. This publication, Cross and the Crescent, has an awful lot of information in it, especially the one which announced Ron Paul's presidential bid. And so this worshipful master designed the initiation ritual, and the Cross and the Crescent explains that he drew on the traditions of esoteric societies and the mystery cults of Egypt, the Orient, Greece, and Rome. He used the modern books on occultism and theosophy, like those of Madame Blavatsky, Annie Besant, Eliphaz Levi, Rudolf Steiner, A.E. Waite, and books on Masonry. So the whole initiation ritual is based on Freemasonry. And also the Cross and the Crescent explains that the historical founder and patron of the Lambda Chi Alpha fraternity was René d'Anjou, who was the 9th Grand Master of the Priory of Zion. Now, I've done a lot of research on the Priory of Zion. It's linked to the Learned Elders of Zion. In fact, I believe it's the very highest secret society which oversees all other secret societies.
Oh, is that
in fact,
right?
Yes. This is what their literature claims. If you read the Zionist and the Masonic literature, they talk about the Priory of Zion, the Da Vinci Code, even divulged who is the next in line of succession to take over the leadership of the Priory of Zion. In fact, he's the Grand Master today. But this René d'Anjou is the patron and historic founder of Ron Paul's Masonic fraternity.
Not good stuff, right, Barbara? What you're saying is this is deep secret societies, and people say, well, so what? But what you're saying, these people are rooted in evil, basically, and manipulative behavior of others. They're very occultic, which means that they are not positive people. It's rooted in evil and selfishness, right?
Well, not only that, but they have an agenda to take over the world. Mm-hmm. And I believe Ron Paul plays a very important part in this, a very destructive part. in this agenda. And if you look at his policies, they really do mesh with, if you put the rhetoric aside and look at his voting record and his policies, they really do line up with the policies of the globalists. He wants to put the world or the United States on the gold standard. So does the president of the World Bank. So, there's really, and I go into all of this in this article. If the listeners would go to our homepage, the main article, I've put it in, I've highlighted it at the very top of the homepage. It's called The Synarchy. That's the main article, and there are sections on not only Ron Paul, but Barack Obama in the it's a long article, several parts. Let's see, there are nine sections, very long sections to the whole article. But synarchy means government by secret societies or by a group of initiates who operate from behind the scenes. It is an analog of theocracy or rule by a priesthood. And this is where the trying to find that, where Ron Paul comes in. I believe he's very high initiate, and he plays a critical role at this time.
Yeah, people who thought he was or think he's different, I've always thought, well, we know that there are these secret societies. We know that there are the very wealthy global elitists, the world bankers, and the Federal Reserve, who he rails against. And basically, these groups decide who is going to get in. And the last time somebody got in as president that they didn't want in, they took him out. We're talking about JFK, who worked against them once he got in. And you don't even get close to getting in and running. And if they did get in, then they're one of them, because they would never permit somebody who wasn't going to work their agenda to get in. So the fact that Ron Paul is even running and may even get close, he's one of the top candidates now this year as far as Republicans go. There's no doubt he's in the top three. Indicates that maybe he isn't an outsider. And you have some damning pictures on your website about Ron Paul. There is a particular handshake, and we've come to know this through other people who have been photographed doing this, including George Bush Sr. and George W. with the Masonic handshake, which is a weird handshake where you grasp the fingers and then the thumb is placed in the middle of the back of the hand, right? And there are photos of Ron Paul doing that Masonic handshake.
Yes, and also the satanic symbol, the horned symbol.
Yes.
A lot of political figures give this signal, and Ron Paul has done it many times.
People could say, well, he's from Texas. He's giving the horns for what's the team down there, Mike?
Longhorns.
Longhorns, but he doesn't strike me as a big sports fan. So
No.
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 Yeah, this is deep and dark and secret, and I've always thought it would be the dirtiest trick to run somebody to fool those who have woken up and said, okay, I know the Republican Party and the Democratic Party are basically two sides of the same coin, and I'm not going to go for it anymore. I'm going to be independent, and I'm going to find somebody who is thinking differently, and to secretly put in a candidate who says, I'm your guy, and he's really one of them.
And he has quite a following.
He does.
Especially among informed people.
Yeah.
People who understand, something about the economy and are looking for a return to sanity